Hello, guys. Welcome back to our channel, Life in Motion a Studio.
You know that feeling, right? You're completely alone, maybe reading a book or just zoning out, and then you hear it. Someone whispers your name. It's kind of creepy, but it's also way more common than you think. So today, we're going to get to the bottom of exactly why that happens. So if you've ever had that happen, I want you to know you are definitely not alone. And the explanation? It's got nothing to do with ghosts. The real mystery is actually happening right inside your own head. All right, first up, let's dive into that exact moment, the phantom whisper. To really get what's going on, we have to set the scene because the conditions are the first clue to solving this whole thing. Okay, so picture this. You're by yourself, it's quiet. Maybe it's late at night, and the only sound is, well, nothing. The world is just still for a moment. And then, bam, out of that total silence, a little sound just cuts through. It's not loud, it's faint, but it feels incredibly distinct. And what do you hear? Your name. I mean, it's the one sound you're basically hardwired to snap to attention for. But you look around, and the room's empty. So what is going on? Why did your brain just invent a voice out of thin air? Well, the culprit isn't a ghost in the machine. It's the machine itself. Your brain is this incredible, always-on, pattern-finding supercomputer. And sometimes it gets a little creative. So scientists actually have a name for this whole phenomenon. It's called auditory pareidolia. That's just a fancy way of saying it's the sound version of seeing faces in clouds or shapes in toast. Your brain just hates random, meaningless noise, so it tries its best to fit that noise into a pattern it recognizes, like a voice. And here's the wild part. Your hearing never really shuts off. I mean, you can close your eyes, but you can't close your ears. Even when you think it's silent, your auditory system is online 24/7, constantly scanning the background for anything important, anything familiar. It is always on duty. So here's the play-by-play of how this whisper illusion gets made. First, your brain picks up some subtle, totally random background noise. You know, the hum of the fridge, the house settling, the wind. Then it desperately tries to make sense of that jumble of sound waves by matching it to a pattern it has stored away. And what's the highest priority VIP sound pattern it knows? Yep, your name. Your brain just defaults to what it knows best. Okay, so we know how it happens, but why? Why on earth is our brain programmed to do this in the first place? Well, it turns out this isn't just some random quirk. It's actually an ancient, deep-seated survival instinct. It all boils down to a super simple evolutionary trade-off. It's way, way better to be safe than sorry. Think about it. For our ancestors out in the wild, mistaking the wind for a predator was a false alarm. No big deal. But failing to hear a real threat, that could be the end of you. So that ancient system that was designed to hear a twig snap and immediately think predator is the very same system that now takes the low hum of an air conditioner and interprets it as your name. The software is exactly the same. It's just that our environment has changed a lot. So, if this is some ancient instinct we all have, why does it seem to pop up more often under certain conditions in our modern lives? What are the triggers? Well, think about when this usually happens. I'm willing to bet it's often when you're stressed out, maybe a little anxious, or you're just plain exhausted. In those states, your brain's threat detection system is already on high alert. So you combine that with the deep quiet of night, when your hearing is naturally a bit sharper, and boom, you've got the perfect recipe for your brain to start creating patterns out of nothing. And yeah, the relationship here is pretty crystal clear. When you're feeling calm and you're well rested, your brain is way less likely to misinterpret these little sounds. But when you're stressed and tired, that threat detection system goes into overdrive, making these phantom whispers much, much more likely. So, after all of this, what's the final verdict? Honestly, the best way to think about this is to reframe the whole experience. Hearing your name when no one's there, it's not a bug in your brain's programming. It's actually a pretty fascinating protective feature. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, the one you've probably been wondering this whole time. If this happens to me, should I be worried about it? And the answer, for the vast, vast majority of people, is a big, resounding no. Experiencing this every now and then is just a sign that your brain's ancient survival hardware is still plugged in and working just like it's supposed to. Now, it is important to know the difference, right? The faint, whisper-like sound that happens once in a blue moon, That's the harmless illusion we've been talking about. If you start hearing clear, repeated voices, and it's happening often during the day, that's usually not something spooky. It's just a sign that your brain is overloaded from a ton of stress or a lack of sleep. It's your brain's way of telling you to take a break. So the next time you're alone and you hear that faint whisper of your name, don't be alarmed. Just take a breath and remember what's actually happening. That sound, it isn't real, but it's coming from a very real and ancient part of you, a part that is always listening and always, always working to keep you safe.